Thank you guys for coming tonight. I know the semester's starting to ramp up, so a little bit busier, but we appreciate you being here. Just like some intro stuff, maybe. Just a reminder, dues are due by Wednesday, October 9th. If you haven't paid that,
this is the Venmo for Emily.
It's $11 for the semester, $20 for the year. Emily's not here today, so if you want to pay cash, you can wait until the next GB meeting. It should still be before the deadline. You can give her the cash. But if you have any questions, go ahead and ask her. Yeah. Upcoming events, we just have a Chipotle fundraiser, October 19th from 5 to 9. I believe it's like a Thursday, question mark. I don't know where Olivia is, but Saturday? Oh, you're right, because it's after fall break. But that's gonna be at the South High Street campus Chipotle. And you'll just have like a little flyer or a code to give to them, and we will get money for the fundraiser. And then also the letter to yourself activity that we did last GB meeting. If you want to turn those in, you can give them to Lily. And we can record your points. So that will be 1 extra point for the semester. And then other events I talked about in the email and in the groupie, large animal rounds are coming up September 30th from 5 to 7. The signups are completely full. But what tends to happen a lot is people won't be able to make it last minute day of. So keep an eye on the chat if you didn't get a spot. And look to see if anyone offers their spot. Also, what we usually do is for the next set of rounds later in the semester, we kind of give priority to people who didn't get to sign up this time. So if you didn't get a spot, don't worry, you'll get to go at some point. But CFACE Samuel reminders, do you guys want to talk about this, Aiden and Daniela?
Yeah, so really
Stand up.
So a little few things to look out for. So I know next week there is the farm science review at Molly Karen Agricultural Center from September 7th to the 19th. The time for that vary depending on the day. Really, you'll see there educational programs, products, and demonstrations on topics of crop and livestock industries, as well as natural resource and lifestyles. It's like a 30-minute drive to campus. It's really something to look out for. Another thing, the fall final class is at Home Farm. It's on October 3rd from 5 to 7:30 p.m. And there you'll be able to paint pumpkins, see movies, and there's a cornhole tournament, and lots of other things you do. And it's usually super fun. So definitely go if you want to. I've invited you guys to go.
And I believe that's open to anyone, not just CFACE.
SAFMA is the Students of the American Veterinary Medical Association, and it's a student board at the College of Veterinary Medicine. They meet once a month, and it's on Zoom, typically Monday, 5 to 6 p.m. The first GP meeting that we're doing on September 23rd. There'll be more information in the email, and I'll also post more information on the group meeting when we get closer to September 3rd. If you send me a message during Zoom, then you get an extra point.
Yeah, and you will get a point for going to those meetings as well, if anyone's interested. All right.
Okay, so this year something we want to offer is to do study roundtables like throughout the club. So if you're in a particular course that you're struggling with, or you just want to study with other people, go ahead and fill out this QR form. The main courses I have on there are like end-based courses. That's what a lot of people struggle with and tend to want help with. But there's also like other options. So if you just want to like do something like in general science with people you also have in class. Just fill it out, I'll help facilitate getting like groups together so you guys can all do it together. There's no official time, but we just wanted to offer it, so go ahead and scan. If you need it, I'll make sure it's on the group meet and an email for next week.
So that's pretty much everything we have at the moment. Reminder to join our new email list if you haven't joined. I've been checking it pretty much every week before I send the email. But I think the entries are kind of dwindling, so hopefully most of you are on there already. But yeah, does anyone have any questions before we get started? Okay. So let me pull up the meeting. What our meeting today is going to be with Shelly, and she is from Massey University, which is a school in New Zealand. And they have a kind of unique veterinary program to what we have here in the US. And we're actually going to right now hear from Abby and Teresa, who are two of our alums. They were on exec last year, and then after Shelly came last year, they decided to go to Massey. So they are currently living in New Zealand, studying. So I think they are on here. At least I know Abby is. Hold on, Abby. Let me
So
see.
I'm pretty excited to talk to.
Oh, they're both here.
To talk to Abby and Teresa, because I actually haven't talked to them since before they I haven't talked to them since like they did. So they just got to New Zealand in July, and they are in their first year of vet school right now. We have quite a few American and Canadian students and other international students that join our program. But in particular, American students usually come to us because if you can't get into your in-state school and you start looking at out-of-state vet schools, Massey will most likely be less expensive. In fact, Massey is going to be less expensive than the in-state schools too. Plus, you get this amazing experience, and we are the #1 vet school in the Southern Hemisphere, so really highly ranked. There's another program where you can actually start vet school before you complete your undergraduate degree as well. So some of you like freshmen in here, like you could actually start vet school next year if you want to. And we'll talk about that in a little bit, but I'm really, really excited to hear from them. I don't know what they're going to say. This isn't rehearsed or practiced or anything like that. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can. It's just echoing, but we can hear. It just everything's getting repeated twice.
Okay, let me
I think like if Michaela,
Oh, they're both muted.
oh,
though.
okay, never mind. Okay, now we can't hear anything.
Sure.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
Hello. Oh, this is better. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah,
Can you hear?
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. So I just said that I was really excited to talk to you guys because I haven't talked to you since since America, really. And I explained to everyone that you were in your first year of vet school. So after I guess my talk, you decided to look into New Zealand, and now you're there, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So we don't have heaps of time, but I just kind of want to ask you guys, what made you decide to go to New Zealand? Like why New Zealand? What convinced you to make this big hop across the world? And then, yeah, just tell me that first, and then I'll ask you another question. So introduce yourself and then tell us, why you're there. Why,
Yeah. Hi, I'm Abby. Obviously, like they said, we were on the exec board last year. I was the vice president for you guys who knew me. But I chose New Zealand because of I've just always wanted to travel and everything like that. And Shelly was talking about the out-of-state costs and everything like that. My in-state is UPenn, and UPenn is the most expensive vet school in the States, I believe. If not, they're like the second most expensive. And that's for in-state tuition. So coming here, I was getting to like cross off two things, save money and getting to travel and see someplace really, really freaking cool. I'm good.
Okay. I'm Teresa. If you remember me, I was treasurer. I had filled out my VEMCAS and everything, and then Shelly came to present, and I was like, wow, this sounds really amazing. I'd be living in New Zealand and studying veterinary medicine. Like, that sounds awesome. And then also, I'm from Arizona. And so it would also have been out of state for Ohio State for me. And again, like tuition is very expensive. But another factor to take into consideration is also how you would be studying veterinary medicine, being AVMA accredited, and again, like being in New Zealand. It was like just a lot. And I like traveling as well. I also really like birds and conservation. And New Zealand is really good, I feel, on conservation aspects I've been able to see in comparison to the States.
Awesome. So did you guys both graduate from OSU?
I graduated a year early to apply early, and then because I was taking into consideration that I might not get in the first year, especially being out of state. And as I'm sure you guys know, it can be like very difficult if you're out of state. The chances of getting in are much like less. So I graduated a year early because I thought I wasn't gonna get in, or I had the potential of not getting in, and then I would take like a gap year or whatever. But then I ended up like getting in. So here I am.
So I did not graduate. I was a junior last year. My plan was to graduate after 4 years. But after this meeting, I just talked to Shelly and she was like, you should just apply. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, I should just apply. Because she'll talk about it, but it is free to apply. So I was like, what do I have to lose? Literally nothing. I applied, and then eventually after you keep going through a couple rounds, and then I got in, and I was like, oh man, because I wasn't even planning on applying to vet school at this point. But I got in, and I just realized this wasn't an opportunity that like I could pass up. So no, I did not graduate, but I will. You can still go back to the States and practice without a bachelor's degree. Everybody else in the world does it besides us in the States. So
Yeah, the United States has its DVM model. Everywhere else around the world has a Bachelor of Vet Science. So in New Zealand, it's a Bachelor of Vet Science, which is the exact same equivalent as a DVM. You're still going to be called doctor. You can still get a job anywhere in America or Canada. And when people see that on your resume, they're going to be like, oh, that student studied in the UK or Australia or New Zealand. So yeah, so that's kind of the difference. And another way that you can save money as well. Okay, so tell me like what you think of it so far. Like you're like brand new, right?
It's so amazing in so many ways. Because I know something that you highlighted is the fact that it's much more laid back and you're not like constantly competing or anything. It's about personality is a very key factor. It's not just perfect grades. It's not just like things like that. They take into consideration a lot of other factors, and we've just done so many things since being here. I drove a tractor. I used a clutch. I'm not a car person. I held an alpaca. It's been really awesome.
Yeah, we've been loving it. So we actually live together, which is really cool. We basically called housing. We're like, please put us together. We were coming. We didn't apply together. We didn't plan it out, but whenever we both got in, we were like, we got to try to live together. So it's been really awesome. We have our own little house, which is part of campus living, but we cook our own food and we get to be adults. And I don't know, I really enjoy how the curriculum is structured. Like,
Yeah.
we have weekly tests and everything like that it's basically like an anatomy physiology class, but it's really nice just not having to study for a big midterm all the time.
Yeah.
Even though we did just have a midterm yesterday. We're halfway through the semester.
Halfway through.
But we love it. Well, I love it.
I love
Yeah.
it. It's great. I mean, it's also something that takes like the stress off, which is instead of having like one big one where you have to cram, it's just weekly and then it just builds. So I enjoy that a lot as well. Our labs are so cool. We just dissected lungs and heart.
Yeah, sheep heart and
Sheep
sheep
heart,
lungs.
sheep
Yeah,
lungs.
yesterday, actually. It's really cool.
So in New Zealand, it's a competency-based vet education system. Ohio State was actually the first university to change this new education system, and it's about testing students about how they apply the knowledge they know, not just regurgitating knowledge, okay? So most vet schools in America and Canada are going to change this new curriculum probably within the next like 10 to 15 years. Everyone will change over. Ohio State was the first. Massey is the second. We work very closely with Ohio State on curriculum development and research. So the education you know, like all AVMA accredited schools, you're going to learn how to neuter and how to spay and do large animals. Like anywhere you go is going to be a great education, right? If it's AVMA accredited, because we're all teaching basically the same stuff, but we're going to differ about how we teach it and some of our specialization. So Massey, we have a wildlife hospital on campus. A lot of other universities don't have that. Like they said, Massey is a lot more, it's not less rigorous, so don't get me wrong, but it's more casual, right? Like you call all professors by their first names. Have you guys noticed that?
Yes,
Yeah.
you want to tell them about the gym?
Oh my gosh, yeah. So I go to the campus gym. I will see there's this one anatomy lab. I don't even want to call him a TA, but he comes in and he kind of speaks and talks to us through the labs and stuff. I see him at the gym all the time. They're just
It's
like
so casual.
Yeah, it is crazy. I'm like, oh my god. I was like, I'll see you tomorrow.
What's one
It
thing
is-
that you did not expect about New Zealand? Like, what's one thing that you're like, whoa, that's weird?
I thought I'd be miserable with the weather change. I'm not gonna lie, especially because we left. Whenever we left to come here, it was July, and we
Winter.
came here, and it was 50s with the weather, and it has not really changed. And I thought I'd get really annoyed with it, but I actually really appreciate the base weather. Like we know what to expect with the coldness every day.
Yeah.
Which I thought I'd hate, but I really don't mind it at all, especially because I'm such a summer person.
I think there are a lot of things, like, again, it's very casual. So some of the professors are a lot more laid back and like funny, I guess.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to explain, like, things that they say, I feel like I wouldn't expect a professor to say, like in a good way, in the sense it's like, oh, these guys want to help us and they're fun and they're chill in that way, instead of like Ohio State professors that are like speaking to like 500 students and like you don't really get to know them and they don't like crack jokes or anything.
Mr. Vet.
Mr. Vet.
Did you guys
You
go
know,
to that?
Yes.
They have, so there's this
Crazy.
like vet student association. Obviously, there's all kinds of vet clubs that you can join, as same with OSU. And they have this Mr. Vet, which is it's like a beauty competition or something like that, right?
It's so funny.
Male talent beauty pageant thing.
Yeah.
Basically, what I'm gonna say is something else that surprised me was that they're social here. Like they call them happy hours, and all the vet class is invited, and they rent out like a hotel like bar area, and they set this whole thing up for the vet students like once a month, so like you can go out and like
Socialize, yeah.
socialize and get to know people in other classes, and it's arranged for us.
Yeah.
You don't have to go and like just like drink. It's not like a necessarily always like
There's a
drinking thing,
theme too. Like,
Yeah,
the last one was white lies.
which was really funny,
I
but
was a bumblebee once.
yeah.
For one of
But
them.
it's really fun, and it's really nice to get to know other people, and it's more laid back. Like it
Yeah.
just comes down
You
to
meet
that.
so many people, you make so many friends, and honestly, like I did not think I'd have a social life at all. Like I mentally prepared myself for that. I was like,
Yeah,
I gotta get
crack
out. I
down.
gotta get out all my socialness before I leave, like going out with my friends and everything. And then I get here and they plan things for us to do together with everyone. And like you wouldn't hear someone who's like, I can't go, like I have to study. Like we're able to all go and have a fun time. And it's
Yeah.
really cool. I love that they do that. 'Cause
It's
I
just a
have
nice
I have
balance.
way more of a social life than I
Yeah.
thought I'd have.
Because
Yeah,
it is rigor. It
There's
is
a lot of
like
social opportunities, but not to like burst your bubble, it is going to get more difficult.
Yeah,
as
yeah,
more
yeah.
years.
I know.
So it,
We're just babies.
yeah, so your third year is probably like usually when people really feel it, like it really ramps up
Yeah.
that third year. But
Hey, it's pretty hard now.
Yeah,
so-
no, it's
yeah, but soak it up now while you can, right?
yeah.
That is awesome. I am so glad that you guys were able to come on and join us. I wish I could talk to you all night, but I have to tell them about
No,
the other stuff too. Okay. So is there anything else you want to say before you sign off?
If anyone is interested and they want to hear more from like a student perspective, everybody on eBoard now has our phone numbers and email probably. So just reach out to them if you want to talk to us at all. Like we will help you, talk to you, calm any nerves. If you're thinking about it, just do it.
We could
honestly.
talk you through the whole process.
Yeah, it's so easy, stress-free, and now we're literally in vet
Cheaper,
school.
cheaper
It
if you're
is
a
cheaper.
freshman and you want to do it right now.
You should.
Yeah, if you're a
Because I wish
freshman.
I had
do it
known.
now.
I wish I had known as a freshman because I would have applied.
Yeah. All you need is the prereqs if you want to skip the first part,
Yeah.
which that's what I did, is I just had all the prerequisite classes.
Yeah.
So
Awesome. Well, thanks. Go back to class now. It's 11 a.m. It's 11 a.m. in the future. So it's 11 a.m. on Thursday right now in New Zealand.
Yeah.
So they'll probably have to go back to class. But thank you so
I'll
much.
learn the vascular system.
Yeah,
You
cardiovascular.
guys are awesome. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye. While I'm chatting, I'm going to pass these around. These are 2 flyers. I will fill one out. Raise your hand if you are a senior.
You are a senior.
Sorry.
You are.
Oh, okay.
You want to put this one to 2 minutes, okay? And I was the people on the pasture. Okay.
Everyone else.
If you're a senior, the pasture one only, okay? If you are a Christian sophomore, possibly, yeah, the student in the companion. Okay, so 2 for the older students, 1 for the freshman and sophomore. Okay. So pass it, take one, flip it around. And I can email them, make it available so that you guys can distribute it. Also, here, afterwards, I would say like an answer, but everyone's situation is so weird, right? Everyone has to prereqs, everyone's training. If you want to book a one-on-one meeting with me, just come to the campus afterwards, and we can clarify. Okay, now you can probably tell by my accent, I'm not from New Zealand, so I'm originally from America. And I did my undergraduate in Colorado. We actually get a lot of students from CSU that apply to study in New Zealand because it's very like outdoorsy and kind of adventurous. Anyways, did my undergraduate in Colorado. I worked in Antarctica on a science base. So I was down there for about 3 years off and on. And I met my now husband in Antarctica. He was on the New Zealand science base. Fell in love. Thought New Zealand was this amazing, wonderful place, which it is. Moved to New Zealand. I have 2 boys that were born in New Zealand. I lived in New Zealand for 18 years and just moved to Ohio about 2.5 years ago. So I'm here temporarily with my husband's job. I resigned from the vet school and they're like, no, you can't go. You can do recruitment in America. I'm like, okay. So now I spend my time going around talking to pre-vet clubs and also educating high school counselors to let them know that there's another way that you can become a veterinarian. And most counselors don't know, because why would they know, right? So that's what I do. And I have a high school senior right now, and he has drunk the American Kool-Aid and thinks that he wants to go to university in America. And I'm really trying to convince him to go to school in New Zealand because it's way cheaper. But I am like, I'm doing the admission thing with him, right? I'm looking at schools, I'm looking at costs. Like, so I also kind of talk from that parent perspective. And I kid you not, like any vet school you go to is going to be amazing. Ohio State, fantastic vet school, if you can get in. Fantastic, right? So I'm not here to do this like sales pitch and be like, everyone has to come to New Zealand, because it's not for everyone. Like, it's far away, right? But for some of you out there, you might be like, hey, this could be a good option. I might be able to save some money. So I just want you to know that the option is out there. The other thing is, especially the freshmen that are in the room, if you tell your parents, I'm going to drop out and move to New Zealand, they're going to freak out, right? They're going to be like, oh my gosh. So I often meet with students and parents. So I'm more than happy to meet with parents too. But I just want you guys to know that there are other options. And when it comes time to applying to vet school, you should consider the overseas schools too. Okay. And so that's what I'm going to tell you about tonight. Now, who has been in New Zealand before? Raise your hand. Sophia has. Oh, you have? Where have you been? The North and South Islands, we went to like Auckland, Christchurch, like Rotorua. We went like on like a big tour of everywhere.
Oh my gosh.
It was so much fun. That's cool. I love New Zealand. Here's a kiwi for you. Okay. So for those that haven't been to New Zealand, I'm going to show you this real quick video, which kind of just like shows you what New Zealand's about. Every time I watch this, I get a bit emotional because I actually miss it a lot.
These lands can speak. What do they say? They would say, if you like to win, you did it. Ordinary. Let us show you around. Lead you to our natural wonders. So you hit first, well, beautiful countries. Because once you find out, what you're here, then our mountains.
Okay, so obviously that was a tourism ad, not a vet school ad, but I like it because it just really kind of sums up like what makes New Zealand so special. So okay, have you guys all heard there's a vet shortage around the world? Yeah, okay, massive vet shortage. Same thing in New Zealand. So our government has been aware of this. We are the only vet school in New Zealand. And vets are so important to the economy of New Zealand because our #1 export is dairy products, whey products. Wine's probably our second export, but we don't need vets for that. So we have a shortage of vets. So our government has poured lots of money into our vet school to rebuild all of our facilities to accommodate more international and domestic students and hire more specialists and staff. So we've rebuilt our entire vet school over the past 6 years. We have 50 spots just for international students. We used to only have 20. Okay, so the odds of getting in are pretty good as an international student. Now, if you've never been to New Zealand, it's made of 2 islands, North and South Island. The vet school is where that red star is on the North Island. Palmerston North is the location. We call it a city in New Zealand, but in America, you'd probably call it a small town. It's about 85,000 people. In New Zealand, like all up, the whole country only has 5 million people. That's probably like the size of Columbus. I don't know. Does anyone know how many people are in Columbus? No, we don't know. Okay. So it's a very college town, very student friendly. It's flat. Most people bike. You can take the buses for free. So it's got like a really cool vibe. It is surrounded by a lot of agricultural land. Most vet schools in America, most vet schools will be surrounded by agricultural land because they're land grant universities and we need lots of space for large animals, right? Kind of makes sense. So why go to Massey? So they hit on this a little bit. So AVMA is the American accreditation that allows you to practice in New Zealand and America. We were the first international school in the Southern Hemisphere to get that. We also have accreditations that will allow you to work in the UK and Australia and New Zealand, South Africa, Singapore, South Korea. Okay, so we have a lot of accreditations, which mean that our veterinarians are working all over the world. We are ranked, the rankings are rankings are not the end all be all, right? But people place a lot of importance on rankings. Does anyone know the #1 ranked vet school in America right now? Yes. Oh my gosh. Good job. Does anyone know the #1 vet school in Canada right now? No, it's Ontario Vet School. So there's a lot of vets, like hundreds and hundreds of vet schools around the world. We're number 21, which doesn't sound that impressive, but for as small of a country as we are, it's actually a pretty big thing. But what we're more proud of is our employer reputation. So every year they go and interview vet hospitals and vet clinics and say, what kind of graduates do you really like to hire? And we are always super hot on that. So number 3, and that's because we place a lot of emphasis on communication, working together, creative problem solving, and we're testing students not on the regurgitating knowledge, but how you apply that knowledge. So there's some pretty well-known vets that have gone to our vet school. In fact, some of the heads, like the head of Ontario Vet School, is a Massey graduate, right? So now he's running vet schools. Okay, I'm going to go through this kind of fast. All right, so we've got time for questions and answers. 4 on-campus clinics, small animal farm, equine, and wildlife. Large animal teaching units. I mentioned that dairy is very important to the economy in New Zealand. We have large animal teaching facilities that are the envy of many vet schools around the world. So if you're into large animals, this is the place to be. Okay, another quick video. This is before the new facilities were built, but you'll kind of get the right idea.
Massey University's veterinary teaching hospital is the only one of its kind in New Zealand, and it's world leading. Our staff are experts in their fields. Our equipment is state of the art. Our teaching programs are world renowned. And our 4 specialist clinics offer comprehensive consults and treatments. The companion animal hospital provides top quality care for all small pets. Our equine hospital offers surgical and medical expertise for horses. Our farm services clinic includes a large animal hospital and on-farm treatments for all farm animals. And WildBase, New Zealand's only dedicated wildlife hospital, cares for and rehabilitates sick and injured native animals. Massey University's veterinary teaching hospital prides itself on excellence, as where world-leading experts use the latest technology to train tomorrow's veterinarians.
Okay, so she's one of our deans of student, and she's also a pathology professor. You can tell from her accent, she's not from New Zealand either. She is from Canada.
Massey University's veterinary teaching hospital.
Oh, I might need some tech help. Can you go to the next slide?
I can
So
certainly
she
try.
is from Canada. There we go. She's from Canada. And she was kind of like you guys. She was doing pre-vet in Canada. She was in her sophomore year, and then she heard about Massey, and she was like, "Oh my gosh!" And she came, and she loved it so much that she has stayed in New Zealand, and now she's like one of the heads of our vet school. Okay, so these are some of the photos of the new facilities. I'm just going to whip through these kind of quick. Equine facility. Companion animal clinic. This actually isn't in our companion animal. This is in our wildlife hospital. This is Sherry. She did her undergraduate in Colorado State, GSU, and then she's there with looks like a blue penguin. So we have penguins in New Zealand. You'll often see them on some of the beaches down south. Clinical skills laboratory. It doesn't look as clean and pretty as that right now because now there's all kinds of models and things everywhere. That's where we do a lot of hands-on practice, foyer, anatomy labs, postmortem labs. Postmortem is mainly what you're going to do in your final clinical year. So every student will take a turn doing a postmortem rotation, and you'll present your case to the other staff and students. We have about, I think, 15 consultation rooms for students to use. Okay, so why vet at Massey? So everything is on one campus. I think you're probably gonna get a lot of people in talking to you about all the vet schools around America. There's also some vet schools at some of the islands, and they'll come talk to you. The good thing about Massey is that everything is in one country. You don't have to start your degree and then like go somewhere else. Like everything is right there. And we have the practice teaching hospitals on campus for you, okay? So to me, that's something that I would look for if I wanted to go to a vet school. We have free public transport for students. It's super safe town, okay? Bad things can happen anywhere, of course, right? But in New Zealand, like our police officers don't even carry guns. So it's kind of a different vibe for sure. High employer reputation. Okay, the big thing here is less years in university, potentially. And you can save time and money. And let's face it, so like I told you, I'm going through the whole college search with my son, right? I'm not really that picky about what school he goes to because I know that the big name brand schools are going to be great. Some of the smaller liberal arts schools, like they're going to be great too. It's where I think that he's going to succeed and come out with the least amount of debt, preferably no debt, is the big thing that's important to me. And so obviously, if you can go to Ohio State, that's going to be financially probably your best decision if you're an in-state student, like hands down. So I would never talk someone out of not going to their in-state school if they're like a senior. But if you start looking at these international schools, if you start looking at the international schools, Massey will be less expensive. All right, what makes a great Massey vet student? Okay. All of these things, right? Like the student said earlier, we are looking for a high GPA, okay? So I would say the average GPA of the accepted international student is probably around 3.5, 3.5, 3.2-ish. That's not that high compared to the American schools, right? Like most students that try to get into OSU probably have like a 3.85, it's like really based on grades. We want to know that you're going to be able to handle the academic rigor. We also want to know that you're going to have the maturity to be able to deal with living in a new country, okay? Because vet school, wherever you go, is going to be hard. It's going to be challenging, right? You're learning all these different species. It's pretty full on. They sound like they're having a great time, which is awesome. But in the back of my head, I'm thinking it's going to get harder as you keep going. So we're looking for well-rounded students that have good communication skills, that can work together, that can problem solve. Because once you get into vet school, like it's super competitive to get into vet school. Our New Zealand students, they have about like a 25% chance of getting into our vet school. So it's really competitive for our domestic students, not as much for our international students. But once you get into vet school, we don't want you to be cutthroat competitive, right? Vet students, they're just super competitive because it's so hard to get into vet school. Once you're in vet school at Massey, we're like, all right, guys, none of that. Like it's all about working together and realizing our strengths as a team. Okay, so they kind of mentioned that a little bit. So at Massey, when you come to our vet school, we have orientation and we take all students off to this camp. It's like an orientation camp off-site. And we spend 4 days in cabins hanging out. All of our academics and our professors and our specialists come out and hang out with students. We even have practicing vets from all over New Zealand that want to give back to the upcoming vet students. So they come and join us. So it's a real kind of like close-knit group. We're looking for good humans. Really, someone's like, what kind of vet student do you want? We want good humans. They do not have to have a 4.0 degree. Okay, so the vet degree in New Zealand. In New Zealand, all of our professional degrees, so medicine, vet, law, dentistry, they're all undergraduate degrees, okay? So in New Zealand, students go to high school 1 year longer than American students. So they're usually taking a little bit more advanced science and math classes, okay? And then they go straight into what they want to study. So the vet degree, so you know how you guys have like a 4-year pre-vet undergraduate degree? In New Zealand, pre-vet is 1 semester, okay? So what you do is you come to New Zealand, you take 1 semester, and if you grab that flyer that says group 1 on it, turn over in the back, it tells you the exact 4 classes you'll take. Essentially, it's a physics class, it's a chemistry class, it's an animal class, and it's a biology class, okay? So everyone takes those same 4 classes. You have to get a B or above in those 4 classes because we want to see that you have the academic, you're going to be able to handle the academic rigor, okay? Everyone has to get a B or above, and then you have to sit some interviews and do a Casper and STAT test. Of the international students that come over and do this group 1, I'd say about 80% of them, 80 to 85, 90%, depending on the year, will get accepted into the vet school. Those are really good odds, right? So you have to come over, do that 1 semester, work really hard, make sure you get a B or above, interviews, STAT, Casper tests, and then I can't say you're definitely going to get admitted because sometimes students don't, but usually it's around like that 80, 85%, okay? So that's what's called group 1. And we have unlimited number of places. So like if 1,000 international students want to come and do that, they could. But usually we have anywhere from like 25 to 50 come over and do that. Okay, this is the vet degree, and this is going to be very similar to what all the other vet schools are going to tell you, right? It's like pretty similar stuff. So our degree, if you come into the pre-vet selection, it's 5 years. If you've met our prerequisites, which would be all the juniors and seniors probably in this room, then for you, it's only 4.5 years, and it's just direct entry into vet school, okay? This year, right here, you can see it's a longer bar because year 5, you don't have as much of a summer break because it's a longer year, and that's the year that you're going to do all of your clinical rotations. You can track small production equine mix or other research if you want to. And then over here, this practical work. So throughout years 1, 2, 3, 4, all students are going to be required to spend 2 weeks on a dairy farm, 2 weeks on a calving placement, 2 weeks on a wildlife placement, an equine placement, companion animal hospital placements. We do not expect you to come to vet school and already be a vet, right? Some students that come into vet school have never stepped foot on a farm before, right? So that's why we make them do placements and training throughout. Okay, so how do you join? Group 1, again, this is for the freshmen, sophomore, possibly juniors. This is when you come and you do that pre-vet selection semester. You get a B or above, do your interviews, and you get in. Now, this is another good option. If there's someone in the room that has some grades that are possibly a little bit unsavory, so maybe like you didn't do so well in OChem, maybe you have a few C's. If your grades are a little bit lower and you're like, how am I going to get into vet school in America with this GPA? If that's you, you might be better off doing a program like this where you come and you do that semester, because when you do that semester, we don't look at any of your previous grades. Like your GPA is wiped clean, right? And you have your chance to prove yourself over again doing that one semester. This is also a good option for like non-traditional students, like students that are a little bit older, and they're like, oh my gosh, I want to be a vet, but I don't want to spend 3 or 4 years doing all my prerequisites. I'm like, you need to come do this because it'll save you a lot of time. Group 2, that is the VMCAS applicants. Raise your hand if you put in your VMCAS application. Woo, woo. Right, so the deadline is Monday, I think, Sunday. Okay, so for all of the freshmen, sophomores, so VMCAS is kind of like the Common App for vet schools, right? Where you fill out one application and you like tick all of the boxes. The deadline is 16th of September. For Massey University, you actually have until November 1st to get that in if you apply direct online to us. Everyone's like, okay, so what are your prerequisites? Because every vet school will require different prerequisites. So if you have the flyer that says Group 2 on it, turn it over on the back, you'll see that these are our prerequisites. And then these would be kind of like the American equivalents. So raise your hand if you've had OChem yet. Okay, do you guys have to take 1 year here or 1 semester? 1 year. Okay, so we only require 1 semester. Raise your hand if you've had the full bio series, like the full year Gen Bio. Yeah, okay. Raise your hand if you've had physics. Okay. Raise your hand if you've had some kind of animal science class, like animal nutrition, evolution. Okay. And I think that's it. Yeah, I think I've hit all of it. Yeah, so those are the classes that we require. If you're in the pre-vet track, you will have all those classes. We require a supplemental application like most of the vet schools. Ours is due November 1st. Now, if you're out there and you're a junior and or even if you're a senior and you just applied through VMCAS, but like you didn't take Massey, it's okay. It's all right. I still love you. It's okay. But if you decide that maybe I will just throw my hat in and like apply to New Zealand, you can apply for free. Like we don't charge any money. It's free. And it's a really easy application. You go online. We don't require letters of recommendation. We don't require long essays. We just need your transcripts and then your clinical hours that you've done. So like super easy. And if you want to save even more money, don't apply through VMCAS, just apply direct online to us, okay? because VMCAS will charge you about, what's the fee? 200 per school? That's crazy. I'm pretty sure they've raised that since last year.
200 for the first and then like 174 or 184 for the.
Okay, so all of you juniors out there that are gonna be applying to VMCAS next year, if you want to apply to Massey, don't do it through VMCAS, just apply direct online. It's free. You'll save $200.
Or start saving your money now.
Or start saving up now, right? And even my son applying for like just his undergrad, like I'm actually saving money, like
Yeah.
a little pot of money for all of his applications. I know. Okay, cost of attendance. So the cost of attendance is on the back of the flyer. When you see those big crazy numbers, that's New Zealand dollars. I did put the conversion in there for you. And when you are comparing vet schools, I highly recommend you go to the AAVMC website because it will tell you all the stats of all the schools. And when you're looking at out-of-state tuition, Massey is going to be one of your least expensive of the American schools. Of the international schools, it's definitely the least expensive. Okay, so it's pretty good value. And that's it. I feel like I've forgotten a lot of things, but I've got some kiwis to give out. So this is our kiwi bird. When I talked about a wildlife hospital, a lot of students, a lot of you are probably like, oh, I really want to do wildlife, or I really want to do exotics. We have a wildlife hospital, but our wildlife in New Zealand is very different. Okay, so we don't have like bobcats, and we don't have black bears. We don't have snakes. We don't have anything that can kill you. Because in New Zealand, we are very protective of our borders and our native flora and fauna. But we do have lots of really cool avian species. And one is the kiwi. It's a flightless bird, nocturnal. And it's kind of like our prize, it's kind of like our national symbol of New Zealand. It's a kiwi. These make fantastic dog toys. My dog loves them because there's no like beady eyes. So who's the person with the dog over there? Okay, that's for your dog. Right? Oh, sorry.
The kiwi I got last year and the stuffing was gone because my dog worked it off.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
That's like.
Another fun fact, in New Zealand, we speak 2 languages. Okay, so English and Maori, which is like our indigenous language, are widely spoken, but everything is taught in English. Okay, how many semesters of physics do you need if you're applying for group 2? That's like direct entry, yes. And how many semesters of organic chemistry do you need? Okay. Tell me, okay, is the vet school located on the North Island or the South Island? Who said that? Okay, whoever's the North, yeah. In New Zealand, your first year of vet school, do you think you need a car? No, you don't need a car because you have free buses and it's flat and you can bike everywhere. Do our police officers have guns? No. They do locked up in the cars, okay, but not live. Do we have snakes in New Zealand? Okay. What's one of our big export moneymakers for New Zealand? Blue shirt in the back, guy. Dairy. Oh. Okay. Tell me, raise your hand. Tell me one reason why you should consider going to New Zealand in the red.
It can be cheaper than
Yes. A little bit cheaper. Do we call our professors by first name or their like last name? Like the kind of picture? First name, yeah. Name one of our 4 hospitals that you can find on our campus. Yeah.
Oh, wildlife.
Wildlife. Okay, I'm just gonna start throwing these out now. Right. Okay. All right, so what time is it now?
It is 7:29.
Okay, so let's do question and answers. And if there's a really good question, I might give you a kiwi. Anyone have any questions? Yes. choice if you're interested in group 1 or group 2, or would they just place you in one depending on the pre-reps? There's separate applications. If you apply for group 2 and you send us your transcripts, we'll assess them. And if you haven't met our prerequisites, or you haven't met our GPA threshold, which is only like, it has to be above like a 3.1, then they will automatically, they'll come back to you and they'll say, sorry, you can't apply for group 2, but you should apply for group 1. Okay, so if you don't make group 2, you can do group 1. Yes, this question.
So you get a someone, how likely is it that, I mean, pretty likely, but first, can you do requests to live together? No, they said like.
Yeah, you can request to live together.
How likely?
How likely is it to happen?
Yeah.
Sounds like it's pretty likely from if we don't have a huge shortage of housing on our campus. So like, you know, in some of the American schools, they're like, oh my gosh, apply right away because you might not get housing. That's not really like that in New Zealand. And everyone has a single room in New Zealand. So in America, like how like some people have like triple rooms and stuff. And I'm like, what? In New Zealand, quadruple room? Yeah, okay, that's crazy. In New Zealand, everyone has their own. Yeah. Question.
It's like areas of government practice, those open like when you got it or during like school day or like.
Yeah, they aren't open, 24/7, they're probably closed around 6 p.m. So in New Zealand, we have a really good work-life balance, which is another reason why some of our international students choose to stay in New Zealand for their first job, because their work-life balance is really good, right? Like in New Zealand, stores are still, a lot of stores are closed on Sundays, which is kind of a pain when you want something, but like really nice for people not to have to work on Sundays. So we get more holidays than Americans. Yeah, just a little bit different. Question, and the orange shirt.
When you graduate med school and you would like find your name, you normally would have something else, would be the same thing.
It would be Bachelor of Vet Science. Yeah.
Right, so there would be no.
No DVM. And to be honest, most Americans have no clue. They would have no clue, right? So we do have a few graduates. It's funny, I have looked at their websites. We have a few quite famous graduates, especially on the West Coast. And in their bios on their websites, they say that their veterinary science degree was obtained from Massey University. Like, it's funny, they didn't want to put like Bachelor of Vet Science, but the thing is, like, no one even knows. And like most people don't even care. You can still go on and do a residency. You can still become a specialist with a Bachelor of Vet Science. And so that's not going to hold you back. In the blue shirt in the back, yeah. Oh my gosh, that is such a good question. I'm gonna throw 2 over to you so you can give 1 to a friend. Okay, that's a good question. So if you do not get in, right? Because you might go to New Zealand, do this group 1, and you might not get in. Oh my gosh. If you don't get in, you've got a few options. You can either be like, all right, I'm going back to America and I'm gonna keep doing my undergraduate degree wherever. Or you can choose to stay in New Zealand. You can transfer those classes to another degree, like just a normal animal science degree, zoology. You can even transfer it to like food technology, like all kinds of other science degrees, and then you can reapply the next year based on the new grades that you have. Okay. A majority of the international students, if they come over and work hard that first semester and get B's or above, will get accepted. Okay. Sophia is in the front row. Sophia is a freshman at OSU, and she's actually coming to New Zealand in February to do this group 1. So Sophia, do you mind standing up and telling people, like, what made you do this? And why are you, why you're at OSU and why you decided to do this in New Zealand?
Yeah, so hi everyone, I'm Sophia, I'm a freshman, animal sciences pre-vet. I took a gap year and I went to New Zealand for 6.5 months, and I worked with some vets over there, volunteering, just traveling around. And while I was working with some of the vets over there, I was like, I'm gonna, go to Ohio State for 4 years bachelorette, and then 4 years of vet school. And they were like, why would you do that? And I started looking into Massey. The woman I was working with, she went to Massey. All the vets I was working with some around 14 vets. All told me I could look into Massey, and I bought the Palmerston North, and I fell in love with it. So I decided to try the group 1, and I got in. And after some long
I started thinking and I was like, you know what, I love New Zealand. It's a beautiful country. I have the work ethic there is really good. Shelly mentioned about the how chill everything is. I had when I worked with my when I worked with some of the vets, I had 2 tea breaks a day, which is great. I mean,
Morning tea, afternoon tea,
yeah,
yep,
afternoon tea,
yep.
yeah. We did quizzes, like we did fun quizzes during that time. It was all the vets had such a great love and compassion for each other. One of the vets I worked with was from New York, and she was in her first year working at the company. And they would, some of the older vets would check on her every single day, see how she was doing, and I just loved that. And so I decided, I love traveling, I'm still adventurous enough to do this, and I really want to be a veterinarian, so I decided to try it out, and now I'm going in February.
So, Sophia, assuming you get through, right, you get accepted to vet school, which hopefully you will, then you will graduate as a vet at what, like 21?
Yep, something like that, 21, 22.
21, 22, she'll be a vet. I'm so excited for you.
Thank you.
So we're gonna keep in touch, and maybe next year we'll bring you up on the screen.
Okay.
So that's, yeah, pretty amazing. Now, this is the other parent and me kind of giving you some advice. The sooner you graduate, the sooner you can pay off any student loans, right? So if you can graduate 3 or 4 years before your peers, if you're gonna go do an internship or a specialty, it just makes it easier to do it sooner, right? We do take FAFSA as well. Most of our international students will use some kind of subsidized or unsubsidized loans to pay for their education because it's still expensive, right? What side of the road do we drive on in New Zealand? Anyone know? Raise your hand. Yep. Yep. On the road. Any other questions? Yes.
What is the like travel logistics look like from like, let's say Columbus to?
From Columbus, you go Columbus to Houston, Houston to Auckland, Auckland to New Zealand, all up, it's about 22 hours.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a long flight. Yes.
The research is like a big part of the college of veterinary medicine, so is veterinary research like a big part of Massey specialty?
That is such a good question, yeah. So we have lots of specialty areas of research that you can get involved in, but to be honest, like the vet degree is so full on that you don't have a lot of extra time. Okay, so in the summer though, we have internship positions that students apply for and you get paid to do those. If you're really into research, summer is the time to do it. You can track the final year and you can do you can do more research in that final year. Very good question. Yes.
What opportunities would you have in New Zealand for research? At Massey College with us?
Yeah. So, oh goodness, where do we even begin? So, we do it. We're pretty well known for sugar, beef, dairy, wildlife. I've got a whole list on the website that I can't think of right now, but is there one in particular that you're looking for? Okay, One Health, obviously we're very big in pathology. Those are our main research centers. Yeah, we already got a key though.
I did.
I know. What year are you? Freshman. Welcome to OSU. In the very back.
Do you guys have any data that shows like the graduates of the Massey program are making the same amount of money and we're getting the same positions that the students are making, or anything that just they compare the degree you get here versus the degree you get here?
Yeah, I don't have any data. I don't even know formula for this. I don't have any data on it. But we do keep in close contact with our graduating students. And we know for a fact that like 100% of them have found jobs in back in America if they want to. And the salaries depends on what state you practice, right? So if you go to Hawaii, you're going to be starting off like probably $120,000 a year. Okay. So it kind of depends on the region that you're in. So it's hard to say. Now, if you do practice in New Zealand after you graduate, so once you graduate, if you want to practice in America, you take the VMCAS exam. Okay, that's the same exam that all the other American students have been taking. And we have about, I think our last pass rate was probably like 75% pass rate on the VMCAS. If you want to practice in New Zealand, Australia, no extra time. Just graduate.
And you can practice, which is pretty cool. Yes, question over there? And then the girl behind you, I'll give one to you. Yes?
One and two credits all from the program in high school.
I don't think so. We chat about that. I don't think they'll take that you need. No, yeah.
And so, working with a lot of wildlife, you said you do a lot of like avian species, but given that New Zealand's two large islands, do you work with aquatic species a lot?
A whole lot of aquatic species. Yeah, I mean penguins, but like, you're talking about like turtles and dolphins. Yeah, turtles now. A little bit, like they will occasionally come to us. We do a lot of whale rescues, rescues, but if you're looking for aquatic, I would check Florida for your best bet. And the purple, yeah.
Kind of done with that question, since the wildlife is like kind of limited there, would there be other like exotic or zoo type of?
Yeah, we have a couple zoos in New Zealand. That's your place. I'm just gonna put this out there. And that's all the kiwis I have. So I'm gonna bring over. Oh my gosh, one more. I'm just gonna throw it out there. Okay. That's all the questions I have. It's 8 o'clock. Have an awesome night. Thanks for joining us.
Wait 1 second, please. No, you're good. You're good. I just want to say, if we can all give a hand to Shelly, thank you so much for coming. But yeah, other than that, I don't really have too much. I do have merch from last semester. If you didn't get that at the intro meeting, if no one's picked that up, I have that. If you wrote a letter to yourself last year from me and didn't pick it up, I also have some of those if you want it. And then last thing is, like Abby and Teresa said, if anyone wants to talk to them about it, message me and I can give you their phone number. Or yeah, do you think you can send me these slides? Or no, I have them. I have them downloaded already. This is my. Okay, perfect. Yeah, and then I can send it out to you guys. But other than that, you guys are free to go. So thank you so much for coming, and thank you, Shelly.